Hello and welcome to Living with the Landspeeder, where we StarWarsified Disney parks one attraction at a time. My name is Ryan. I'm joined by my good pal Catron.
Heyo.
And my other good pal Derek.
I'm so happy to be a good pal now. It feels so good right here.
We'll see after this episode.
I'll be a better pal.
Who will be the good pals and who will be on my bad list?
No.
I'm going to be honest. This is not an episode I wanted to make, but the guys wanted to do it.
And we got our way.
So I pulled up I was out of town and I let them pick. I was at Disney though. I had a good time. But on a side note, it was fun. But sad news, a few weeks ago, we talked about it on the last episode because we had somebody on that was on the cruise with me. We found out that the Starcruiser will not survive. Come the end of September, the end of their tax year, Disney is closing it down. So they can probably write that off, which is depressing, especially for those who've been on it and for those like Derek and Catron who never got to experience it.
It's true.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's harder if you've been on it, but being on it, knowing what it is and meeting all the people that work there. I think there's around 1,500 people that work on this thing or something crazy like that. I could be wrong with that number. There's a lot of people. But seeing all their smiling faces, seeing their hearts pouring into this, seeing them, talking to them individually and them saying how much they love their job and how much they love making Star Wars dreams come true. And all of that's going to end for them. And all that's going to end for the people that's been on it. And not only that, me thinking about my son and Derek and Catron and his son and all these people that like Star Wars or love Star Wars that will never get a chance to experience it. And I know people say it's just too expensive. It's just too expensive. The Super Bowl's too expensive, but look how many tickets are sold every year. It's the same thing. A guy that I met on the Starcruiser, he's the head of the president of the 501st. He made a good example that the Starcruiser was like our Super Bowl. Batuu is sort of like the playoffs, and the Starcruiser was our Super Bowl. And you know how much people pay for Super Bowl tickets. And that weekend, just to go to the game, they pay probably more than the Starcruiser. So it's just, this was our Super Bowl, and we got to live it out and be part of Star Wars and be in a movie. And that's all coming to an end. So I'm glad I got to go on it. But I am sad for those that didn't get to go on. I'm sad that I don't get to go back with friends and family. And I'm really sad for the people that did such an amazing job putting it together and running it day to day that don't get to do that anymore.
But
so
you have the memories.
I have the memories for now.
Very cool that did happen. So we're going to bring the positive back. We're going to spin this on a positive note because it's sad that it's going. But what they accomplished with this, minus not being able to sustain it, was that they did something that has never been done.
Yeah.
They created a world-class thing, and it is unfortunate that it didn't survive, but they did it. And the one thing I will say is, like, this is one of the first times that Disney's really just like, this didn't work. We failed. And they did it fast. They don't really do that. Fast. They don't do that a lot, or really ever. I would love to see a statistic on that. So, that says a lot about what they had to put into it. And it does make it a little bit harder. But on the same token, I think the people that worked on it and that created it, they did such amazing work that will live on in the Disney and Star Wars legends. Like there's been plenty of projects that people love that are gone, but I think this one will be the most important.
Yeah. Somebody was saying the other night that they were sitting down watching The Rise of Skywalker.
That's too bad.
Great movie.
No. But anyways, let me finish. I liked it. I thought it redeemed what it could from The Last Jedi. It did what it could.
Sure.
Anyways, they were sitting there and they looked at each other and they said, you know what? By this point in time, Chewbacca knows us. And we helped save Rey. because the story of Starcruiser happens between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. So they're like, we're sort of like canon now, like because that's part of the story. I mean, that the way the Imagineers placed it was this was canon, but this happened in between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. It wasn't on a movie, but it was like a live action movie. So they're like, yeah, he knows us. We've met Chewbacca by now. We helped save Rey. And that's something cool to think about if you think about it that way.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But let's hold on to that thought for when we all do our
Hang
things.
on.
So stop it right now.
Oh no.
No, it's not that.
Oh, anyways, but this is going to be our tribute show. I the sadness I got it out of the way at the beginning.
There you go.
This is our tribute show. I'm sure Catron and Derek are going to have way different takes on Star-Warsifying whatever this than I'm going to have. I'm just going to tell you that right up front. I'll probably go last. I'll let them have their, have the fun, and then Debbie Downer will come in at the end.
Oh man,
not really. I've been thinking about it. How basically the way I'm going to do it is how it's sort of the swan song. How I want this story to end, I guess.
Okay.
For the Galactic Starcruiser. So you
guys,
guys,
who's going to start it off?
You go ahead and.
Man,
Catron's already said he's going to burn it down and start over. So
I'm not going to burn it down.
All right, Catron, you're first.
I'll go first, and
because I was excited when we were texting about this. Because you seemed really excited.
I'm excited.
I'm pretty excited too.
I came up with this one idea, and then I actually ended up coming up with more because I figured out some ways that if they were to keep it, because what I wanted to do was like, okay, let's say it's not going away. Let's pretend that we're going to rebuild this thing, because that's what we're doing with all the rides, right?
Yeah.
What if they could keep it? These are some really interesting ideas, I think. So hopefully one of these doesn't steal one of yours, Derek, or yours, Derek.
Not rides.
Yeah. But I think this would be really cool. So I'll go ahead and start. So I'll start with my first idea, and then I'll expand on what I mean by I had a bunch of.
Then I'll move on to Derek's idea.
Then we'll let Derek talk.
No, you take it.
No, so it becomes one. Yeah, it becomes again one big idea. So my first idea was the Bounty Hunter Chronicles.
Ooh.
So what if you keep the Halcyon? Because originally I said I was going to redo it. It's going to be something else. Maybe it's just this place you go to. But I was like, no, it can be the Halcyon. And so you go in as a bounty hunter, or maybe you take a role as somebody that has a bounty on their head, right? So kind of keeping some of the same elements that are already there, right? But you come in as a bounty hunter, you kind of get to pick what kind of bounty hunter you want to be. Are you a Cad Bane, or are you a Mandalorian? What are you doing? And dress how you want, still same thing. And you've still got the elements of you can go and do training for shooting. So you've got instead of the lightsaber training, you go and you shoot at targets in this room. Maybe there's still these puzzles of trying to figure out these different things about the ship or whatnot. But almost living like a Mandalorian story in some ways, but more on the side of you're a bounty hunter, so this is what you're living. So there's of course bounties while you're there, and all kinds of encounters with Star Wars characters while you're there. So the cool thing about this particular idea is that it doesn't have to fit in a specific time period. And that was one of the things we always said about Galaxy's Edge was it's stuck in a time period. And why can't it just be Star Wars land, And so this particular idea, and I think the other ones I have too, it could span anything, and you could still go to Batuu, but because it's like, well, we're going to go to Batuu, what the heck, we're going to go there, and it still have that element in there. I think what could be different too in this idea is maybe it lasts a different time frame. I don't know, who knows, but it's the idea is that it's this new theme, right? Okay, so there's idea one.
Oh, I like it.
There are a couple of other ideas, and one of them could be like the let's see, I don't want to do that one. that one's too easy. All right. So Smugglers Run. So this was Secrets of the Outer Rim was this one. It's a smuggling vessel So, and again, you can kind of pick different roles. So maybe you're a pilot or an engineer, or you just dress as Han Solo. So again, similar kind of idea, but it's maybe geared towards smuggling different things in the hotel, in the ship, right? And then the other idea, this one is really interesting, but I don't know how it'd work. But what the heck? Who cares? It's called the Droid Workshop. So it's the ship becomes this like a hub for people that build droids, and maybe it's kind of expanding on the idea of the droid factory, and bringing it into this experience where you get to build droids and you get to interact with other people's droids, and then you've got the droids from the movies that are there, and maybe there's I don't know, maybe there's demonstrations or exhibits that they've set up for this. Didn't really get much into that one, but I thought that was interesting. So to kind of bring it back, and why I had these multiple ideas, why I thought it'd be cool to have the multiple ideas is like, what if they could do any of these? And instead of it being the same theme every time, what if they said, okay, for this time period, or maybe it's just a week at a time, it's like we do these, or this particular one, right? You get the Bounty Hunter Chronicles, and that's what you make your reservation for, and you go for that. And then maybe the next month or the next whatever week, it's this other kind of experience. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool. I thought the Bounty Hunter one was the most interesting to me because, again, it's probably not too much different than what it is now in some ways, but it is still different because you're doing maybe these bounty hunts that you're, again, living out what you see on Mandalorian. But again, it's not reliving Mandalorian, but it's reliving some things that happen in all of Star Wars, with bounty hunts. So
that was sort of pitched, the Mandalorian.
I know. I saw that later. I was like, oh, but
then
yeah,
somebody named Iger said no.
But gosh darn it, we're gonna imagine
that Kevin Iger guy.
Kevin Iger.
He shoots everything.
Kevin!
Down. I like it though. I like it.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. So is it my turn?
I have a restaurant idea. We didn't do restaurants. I don't. Maybe
you don't have ours?
No, I don't know what bounty hunters eat.
They eat
probably pink shrimp. That's regular shrimp.
Soup, lots of soup.
Krill.
Okay.
However, if you have a helmet, then you got to figure out things that you can drink with a straw, eat with a straw, or whatever. So no,
if this is the way,
osmosis.
If it's Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
But if you're Cad Bane, then you probably can eat whatever. So.
Steak. All right. So I had two ideas, and actually, Ryan, I need your help with this.
Okay.
So I was texting you guys and asking you some questions earlier today, and one of those was, are they still doing they stopped doing the March of the First Order? And
yes,
and from everything that I can see, yes, they stopped it.
They did.
And I hadn't been to Disney in I think 10 or 12 years. It'd been a while, and finally, when we did our big trip, had my whole family, my wife, her whole family. It was just this massive trip. And one of the first day that we get there was at Hollywood Studios, and it was before Galaxy's Edge was open, and the March of the First Order comes through. And I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
I didn't care about the movies at this point. They weren't all done, but you see Phasma and the stormtroopers, and it was so powerful.
Scary.
Yeah. And they were on it. And then that night we did the Galactic Dessert Party.
Nice.
Which I've done 4 times now. I don't know if they've brought it back yet. They might have.
Don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So moving on from that, though, is what I would do is they've already got Batuu. They've got the whole theme of it. And I've said this before. One of my favorite Star Wars books is Black Spire Outpost. It's the bigger story of how you get Vi Marati, and you take what is there, what's already connected to the park, and you have all of these things that are already in it, and you theme it to the book where she had a ship that crashed. She's on the ship. They have Cardinal, And if anybody doesn't know, he was a bad guy turned good guy, or depends on perspective because I'm dark side guy.
Back there, Cardinal's back there somewhere.
Yeah.
The
And
helmet.
so Cardinal is in there and becomes part of the Rebel Alliance, and all of this stuff is happening. But then at the end of the book, you have Kylo Ren shows up with stormtroopers. And Chewbacca's there. So you've got all these great characters, and you can bring back that March of the First Order, and you can use all of these different things. They have to obviously remodel a little bit, but in part of the book, they're in this cave, and they're in the cave. There's all these different rooms that have different things that could be training for part of the First Order, or for the Rebel Alliance. You can do all of that. But my biggest question was, Ryan, there's different floors there, right?
Yes.
So is one whole floor just rooms, or how is it set up?
Okay, so basically it's like when you go in the front door, if you want to call it that, the shuttle that brings you up and it opens up. You go into the atrium. To your left is the bridge, and then sort of straight across, a little bit candy cornered, is the bar, the lounge, sublight lounge. And then when you walk in, you turn to the right. In front of you is like where they do the show at the end, and then there's the elevators. And then on your right is the store. And then when you go down a level, when you go down to the other levels, there's rooms going back. But then on one level, you have rooms going back, but you also have the place where you eat. And you have the engineering room, and you have the cargo hold where some stuff takes place. And then you have the Jedi training and the climate simulator. And then if you go down, is that the bottom floor? There's at least one or two other floors that have rooms on it. So it's sort of
Gotcha.
basically two floors have all the stuff that you do on it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the other floors have just long hallways
Gotcha.
of
So
rooms.
so my idea with the floors that doesn't already have the stuff that are interactive there, because you could easily retheme that into just about anything. Turn it into a dark ride of going through Oga's cantina in the back rooms, because she's got like this whole network. Or it could be going through, or it could be multiple things. It could be all the different things. Like you could be going through Doc Ondar's his actual full den, the back area of his den, or you can go into Savi's workshop, into the junkyard area where they're actually pulling out scrap and they're finding all of these artifacts and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what I would want to do. My other idea was and they would never do anything like this, but but in my heart I would love it, because one of my favorite things when I was growing up and going to MGM was that they had the animation studios there.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going one year and they were working on Mulan, and I got to stand next to animators that are actually drawing stuff from the movie. And I'm like, this is amazing. And I'm thinking, how could you redo the rooms? Like, yeah, you're going to have to knock walls out or whatever, but what's a way that you could have it more of like an office type of setting where it's not just an office? And I was like, bring it in where all of the content that they're shooting for Star Wars, whether it's the cartoons, whether it's the animation part, whether it's voiceovers, is all done there. And then people can walk through and see what's going on and how they make it.
Yeah.
And the rest can all continue to be themed. So there you go.
There we go.
Very cool.
Ryan,
All
I think you're getting sadder as the episode goes on.
Yeah. So that was
Cheer
a
up, buddy.
fun episode. We'll see you next time. All right, my turn, right? You guys done?
We're ready.
Oh, by the way, the March of the First Order, all of those stormtroopers, those march, they're now bolted to the floor of Rise of the Resistance. That's where they're all at now.
Oh.
What about the people that were in them?
They're bolted to the floor.
They are there.
You missed that part. Yes. If you watch, their heads turn every once in a while. They move a little bit every once in a while, which they do. It's because the people's in it, and they just have feeding tubes. It's like the Matrix, sort of.
They're in like it's
I must have
vodka.
missed them.
Yeah.
Missed
But I'm
them?
thinking that was part of why I'd love to bring that back because they have all the costumes still. Like they've got all that stuff. That's still
Bolted to the
there.
floor. Yeah.
No, those are different.
I don't know. It's
They're
Disney.
different. They're different. Well, yeah, no, you did say that.
Well, some of them walk around Galaxy's
Yeah.
Edge. That's where they
Yeah.
sent them to when
Some
it
of
closed
them.
in 2019.
I
Or not closed,
guarantee,
when they stopped doing it.
knowing Disney, that some of those suits in Rise of the Resistance have been used for other things. Just like Splash Mountain, those animals were from other rides. They like to reuse stuff. And they had a ton of Stormtrooper outfits. I'm sure they repurposed them and did just like throw them away. I would
Sure.
think.
We're just ready for more events because I bet they get
Yes.
a little funky.
There's well, I mean, but I'm just saying, like, if you put them in a animatronic, I mean, they just sit there.
Well, I mean that animatronic might be a little upset if it's a little sweaty.
I don't know. They don't sweat.
It's a little oily.
Yeah, they get a little oily. All right. I would leave it exactly the same and do nothing to it and just bring it back and not let it go away. No, I'm just kidding.
But you're not.
Boring.
But I'm not kidding. I will say this. After experiencing it, not to use the meme, but I thought that what the Imagineers did was almost perfection as far as creating a Star Wars story. Now, I know it didn't have Han Solo, and it didn't have Luke Skywalker, and it didn't have Princess Leia, and it wasn't set in the original trilogy. But the nods to it throughout the Starcruiser to the original trilogy were there, and it was cool. And of course, you had Chewbacca there, and you had Rey there, and you had Han Solo and Princess Leia's carved initials into a wall that you could find from when they went on it on their honeymoon. And you had these blaster marks on the wall where Anakin fought somebody. So there was story like weaved all through it. I thought what they did was perfection as far as characters and stuff. So I want to keep all the characters that are on there right now. So we have Gaia, which I'm wearing a shirt that one of my roommates gave me when I was on there. She is the person who performs for you during dinner, and you find out that she's more than just a performer. She's, she's got some other stuff going on. You have Wraith, which is her sort of manager, which also he's sort of smuggling stuff. You have Captain Kevin, which is the captain. You have Lika Mock, which is like the cruise director. You have the Sajas, which are they're not force users, but they're sort of force sensitive, and they're the ones that teach lightsaber training. You have Sammy, who's the new guy that's in charge of engineering. I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting anybody. You have SK, which is the droid, which the droid is magnificent. I'm like, what are they going to do with SK? Because this droid, it was like you were on Star Wars, like the set of Star Wars with the droid walking around. It was that well done.
And you could put your magic band to
Yes,
it, right?
Yes. Put your magic band on it, and it'll give you missions and stuff.
That's
So I want all the crews still on there. I want it to be the Halcyon. The Halcyon has sailed for, I think, 275 years. So it's not like there's no backstory to deal with. So this is probably going to give some spoilers. So if you don't want to hear spoilers from the Galactic Starcruiser, like you're planning to go on it before September, then turn away now and come back. I was fortunate enough, and I have to give a shout out to Princess and the Scoundrel, Steven from there. There's a point in this journey that you go on, which they call it a journey, where you get to a certain point where you have to pick sort of the path you're going down, because there's like really 4 paths. You have the sort of the resistance, you have like the smuggler like path, you have the first order, and then you have sort of the force Jedi path.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been getting messages from pretty much all the paths, except when the first order path came through. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to help you, because I didn't want to go down that path for this one. Well, I wanted to, I didn't know. The smuggler path looked really cool, and the sort of the Jedi path looked really cool. So I didn't really know what I wanted. So it got to the point where I had to pick which path, and I'm like, I don't know which path to pick because I'm like, this will probably be the only time I'm on here. I want to make sure I do the coolest thing. And I asked Steven, I was like, I don't know which path I should pick, and he goes, this one, and he just picked it for me. And I was like, what? I'm like, I guess I'm going down the Jedi path if that's what they choose for me to do. And I'm glad I did. The Jedi path, the Force sensitive path, or whatever you want to call it, is supposedly one of the hardest ones to get on. It's not one that it's just like right there and you can just start joining stuff. You have to sort of search it out, and you have to get to know the Sajas on there. And I got to know the Sajas at lightsaber training. I gave them a kyber crystal. And they said, where did you get these? I'm like, I find them throughout the galaxy. And he goes, what do you do with them? And I said, I like to get to them to people who need hope and need help. And he's like, I really like that. And so we sort of had this sort of bonding thing there. And then, so you go on this mission when you get to Batuu to find a Jedi artifact that you don't know what it is, but they send you on this mission. One lucky person actually gets to bring it back to the ship, supposedly. But I wasn't that. But I went on the mission, did the mission, because you do most of that on your phone. Anyways, so then that means that I got invited to this, what they called advanced lightsaber training. Ooh. That's what pops up on your
data pad
thing. You've been invited to advanced lightsaber training. Please join us in the lightsaber training room at this time. Don't be late. Now, this isn't like something that half the ship could go on. It's like really, because the lightsaber room is not a huge room. It's a little bigger than the room I'm in now, probably. So it's not huge. Well, maybe about double size, the room I'm in. And so you get there, and there's not a lot of people there waiting. They check your name. Like some people were walking up, like Sarah from Princess Encounter walked up because she'd been before. She knew what was going on. And she's like, oh, yeah, I'm here for the special lightsaber training. They're like, what's your name? Yeah, you're not on the list. You can't come in. Oh. Yeah, like they were strict about it. They're like, sorry, you're not on the list. And she's like, oh, okay, well, I tried. So she left, and some other people were coming doing that because they'd heard about it. And they're like, if you're not on the list, you don't get to come in. This is special advanced lightsaber training. So the doors open. They say, please, hurry in. And we go in, and SK, the droid, is in there. And he had been locked up, but we freed him earlier. So he was in there. One of the main Sajas was in there. And then Rey was there. And, I loved Force Awakens, and I didn't like the next one. We'll mention it. And I liked Rise of Skywalker. But being like face to face with Rey, like she became Rey to me. That's how good of an actress she was.
Yeah.
And she's like, this isn't advanced lightsaber training. Saja and her were talking like, this is sort of a secret mission. We've recovered a Jedi artifact from Batuu, and we're going to open it up now. And they go into this whole spiel, which is very moving. And then they open this box, and out from the box comes this big holocron. It's like a huge holocron, like not one of those little ones you get from Galaxy's Edge. It was like big. And then the holocron opens up by itself, and a hologram, I don't know how they did it, a hologram of Yoda just appears in midair. Like full size Yoda. Like,
yeah,
just appears in midair.
That's cool.
And he just starts, talking to you and encouraging you and talking about the Force and everything. And so all that happens, and then you have to sneak out of there. And I actually got a one-on-one with Rey, and I gave her a kyber crystal, a yellow one. She's like, this is for me. And it was one that I made that lights up. So I showed her how it would light up. She's like, I'll treasure this always. And it's a funny story, side note. We found each other on Instagram, and she just said, I want you to know that Rey treasures her yellow kyber crystal.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm working with her to make a kyber crystal for the crew. I'm not going to be able to make 1,500 of them, but
Oh, not with that attitude.
As
you're
many as
not.
to get my kids to work. Get to work.
Get to work.
Anyways, so back to the story.
Only the crew that matters.
Yeah. So the long story to get to what is going to happen for my sort of redo swan song, whatever you want to call it, my tribute to the Halcyon. It is going to be called the Galactic Starcruiser, the World Between Worlds. And here's how it's going to go. Okay, it's based on Rebels, a lot of it, the story sort of. If you watch Rebels, you know there's a world between worlds that they sort of Ezra, Ahsoka get into, where it's like this place. There's this tapestry that they went through. These Loth Wolves take them through, and it's a place that's sort of like doorways for them. And through the doorways, you encounter different points in history and time. So here's what I think here's how it's going to play out. This is going to be way more story driven than probably what they are doing, and it may confuse people. So they bring back an artifact that they find that they think is a Jedi artifact. And this could be like a pre-show like movie, maybe something you get in your email before you go or whatever. And they open it up, and it turns out that it is not a holocron, but is an artifact that opens up a door into the world between worlds.
Nice.
It basically sucks the ship into this, this
World
gateway.
between worlds.
This gateway. So, what you would experience because of this is the 275 years of the Halcyon. So each cruise is going to be different based on which doorway it goes through or whatever, or which pathway it goes through. And because Batuu has been around all through that time too, when you go to Batuu, the character, so whatever era you're in, you could be on the Starcruiser when it was ruled by the Hutts. And then when you go down to Batuu, you're going to encounter characters that may not be, more scum and villainy than what you usually deal with. Or you may be on a Starcruiser that's set in the original trilogy, and you have, the Luke, Han, whoever on there. You may be on one where it's Leia and Han's honeymoon, and you meet up with them, like a younger, or not younger, because you know what I mean. Younger than the time period it's in right now.
Yeah.
You may be on with Anakin and Padme on their honeymoon. I think they were on their honeymoon too. So you could basically have all these different things, and it's because the crew is going to stay the same because they're stuck in the world between worlds with you. So you're going to have the same captain. You're going to have Gaia there. You're going to have Wraith and the Sajas and everybody. The Sajas are trying to figure out what's going on because they're the force sensitive ones. They're trying to figure out how to get out of this world between worlds. And then that goes on. And then you can have it at the end of your journey. The Sajas figure out the way out, and they figure out, and that's part of the path of the Jedi path that you go on. You find the way out of the world between worlds. And when you land, quote unquote, at the end of your journey, you're back in your time period that you're supposed to be in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it would be a lot to do, but it would be really cool.
But this is your dream. It can be.
Yeah, it would be really cool because you have the same characters. Because I thought experiencing these characters on board, they were just amazing characters, and I'd hate for them to just be like, well, we're just going to put some Mandalorians in there, because that's what one of the Imagineers was pitching.
Sure.
Or we'll put Han and Leia in there,
because that's what Catron said. And that's
I know it was pretty lame.
No, I'm just saying, like,
I was kind of like, I think that's pretty awesome. I really like Mandalorian.
No, that was cool. No,
that's
I'm just saying that Disney was trying to figure out different ways to go with it, and basically they would have gotten rid of these characters that they created.
Yeah.
So to keep these characters in there, and they're stuck in between the world within worlds, trying to figure everything out, but you're encountering all these other characters throughout the 275 years or whatever it is, or journeys, or however many, I forget if it's years or it was the anniversary, the voyage that you're on. Every voyage, it's like Ground Holiday. You're on the anniversary voyage, and I think it's 275. I could be wrong. Anyways, so you
Is
keep
it
the
Life
same.
Day? Because that would be cool.
No, it's not like that. It's like the anniversary of the ship.
Well, now I don't even care. I
Yeah.
don't even want to go.
Yeah.
Should have been Life Day.
I'm just saying that.
So you keep
I
all
really
these same
wanna go.
characters on there. They're in distress. You can still have Lieutenant Croy on there. He's stuck on there too, not knowing what's going on because he's a funny character, especially for the First Order. So him not knowing and trying to take over the ship while this is going on too would be sort of cool to see. And you could get the different time periods, and it would make for repeat business because you never know where you're going to be, what time period you're going to be in.
Yeah, for sure.
Just make it a giant bar because that's what everybody wants. So everybody just wants bars. Come on.
Everybody, I mean, that's what
packed.
that's what everybody did when all the missions and everything was over. That's another thing that made Starcruiser so special. Everybody just hung out in the Starlight. Why did I forget the name? Sublight.
Oh, I was gonna say you don't even
Sublight.
really like it, do you?
No, Sublight Lounge or the
Is it
atrium.
Cosmic Rays, Starlight Lounge.
No, yeah. Sublight is what I was trying to say. Everybody would hang in the Sublight Lounge and play Sabacc or in the atrium and just hang out and talk. It was very unique because I've been to a lot of conventions. I've been to Disney World, of course, and I've been to places where people sort of like the same things, but they like different things. But here, everybody loves Star Wars, and everybody wanted to share each other's Star Wars story with each other and become friends. And that's what sort of made it hurt because you got all these people. And that's why so many people have been messaging me because they're like, hey, we feel like we've lost a family member or something. That this was sort of our thing that we would, we met at and we're going to. And it was like people were finally being seen for who they are and what they love without people going, oh, you stupid Star Wars, or that's dumb. Or it was just,
I can guarantee that out of the ashes that there's going to be some kind of convention or something that happens, even if it's just fan driven, somebody's going to put on a convention in honor of this. Like, I'm sure it's already in the works.
I've already got an idea. I just need the right people to, I'm not going to share it on air.
Yeah,
if I get
they're going to steal it.
Yeah, if I get the right people to go in on this,
I mean, there's definitely people
cool.
like some of the big influencers, and that would be smart choices.
Yeah. But
I can pretty much guarantee it's going to happen at some point. Though.
Some point.
Yeah.
They're already talking about doing a big meetup at Comic-Con. There's people talking about doing a big meetup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that is a really cool thing for people to remember and to kind of have it live on, where you're going to have all that fan lore and stuff. And let's just ask Filoni what he wants to do. Like
that's what they should have done before they shut this thing down. They should have. When they started doing it, they should have said Filoni and Favreau. This is an idea we have. How do we make it great? And they would have knocked it out of the park.
Well, I think they made it great.
Oh, they made it great. But I mean, like, before they closed it down, like, what can we do?
I mean, plain and simple. I was listening to WDW today, and Logan and Terry hit it on the head. Like, the price, number one, but that could have been looked past. But their messaging was awful.
Oh, their marketing was horrible.
People don't know what it is. They don't understand what it is. In the initial marketing blast, we all know what it is. They scrubbed everything off the internet. So, like, would it have made it if the marketing would have been better? Still, probably not. I think it was just too much of an expense. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I think it would have made it at least a little longer if they didn't say, this is the price for the room, but it's for two people, and it has to be for two people, and this has to be the price.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, even if you're going by yourself, you're paying for two people.
Mm-hmm.
Because the people were just like, well, no, I'm not going to pay $6,000 for me to go by myself.
Right.
Which is how the Sweet Mate Finder came to be.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm not a rich person or 1%. I just saved up and I stayed with 4 strangers, and that's how I went. And it cut I mean, it was still not cheap, but it was
Yeah.
It was
workable.
achievable.
It
Yeah.
was achievable. And I'll tell you right now, for everybody's listening probably loves the Starcruiser. There wasn't a moment where I went, man, I wish I didn't spend the money on this. Wasn't a moment. Even when I got sick the last night and was basically sick all night because of my medical issues, I wasn't like, man, I wish I hadn't come here. It was, and I've talked to so many people that have been on it, and nobody, not one, has said, I wish I didn't do that, or that was lame. Everybody loved it. And it's sad that it's going away because of money, but it is. But it's going to survive with our ideas that we came up with.
Right in here.
And
ET phone home.
We're going to build our own Starcruiser. You get to come to it for whatever you can afford.
I think it'll be interesting, because and this may be just what they're saying, but they've learned a lot from the experience, like what came of it, the good and the bad, and whatever they build next that's like it, because it obviously worked on a certain level. It may have been very niche, whatever the word is, for certain people, and part of that still was probably because of the cost. Who knows? I don't know. But maybe they can figure out a way to do something that on a smaller scale, but still have the same impact.
Yeah, well, they can bring a lot of those characters into Galaxy's Edge,
hopefully,
because we were supposed to have all that to begin with.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, that's very true.
They've got extra space to open another restaurant and another bar. They've already talked about it because they need it, and they can have Gaia performing there. And if it was like a really expensive restaurant, people would go, even if they weren't Star Wars fans. Like if you have a restaurant that's like in the couple $100 a person range, people would go. They've proved that with Savi's Workshop.
Yeah. And it would be a shame to just get rid of those people, right?
I don't think they will.
Highly talented actors and actresses.
I think some will go away, but I think they're going to do something to keep
because
some of them.
When you talk about some other experience, maybe they're very talented as well, but the level of these actors and the expertise, or whatever you want to call it, their level is different than anything else they've ever done, right? So it would be a shame for them to not do something with them or find some home for them that's just as good or whatever, not just how many.
On the next episode, we tear down Toy Story Land and make it Star Wars. Because I would not be upset.
No, but you're talking about the actors. Like I introduced myself to the actors like once, and every time I saw them again, and they didn't have some data pad or whatever that would have my picture on it. They were like, "Hey, Ryan, it's good to see you, Ryan. Hey, Ryan, can you come here? I need to have a private talk with you. Hey, Ryan." And they were like improv, like it was funny. Like this, the Wraith guy was sort of Guy's manager, but he was like a smuggler, sort of, that type of character. And he said, "Hey, he goes, this lady gave me some spice earlier," like to one of the other passengers.
Oh,
and he's like, "We can have some fun with that later, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we could have some fun with that." He goes, "I'm not sure how she got it in, though, because they check for that stuff coming in." I'm like, "Yeah, they do. They got the detectors and everything." He goes like this with his fingers. He goes, "It did smell a little funny. I wonder if I should wash it off before I use that spice, if you know what I mean." And he's like,
"Yeah."
And we're canceled.
No, but it was like they would judge you by like they would. I don't think he would say that to a kid. But he's like, "Hey, this is a guy in his 40s. It would be funny. Let's let's just shoot the crap and be funny with each other." And like he did that the whole thing. He came to the Sabak tournament and he had wild cards up his sleeve, and he would slide it under the table to one of the players. And then one of the guys knew about it because he was on another voyage, And he's like, Wraith, I need you to empty your pockets. He's like, what are you talking about? He goes, I know you and your wild cards. So he just starts bringing out all these wild cards and laying them on the table
Nice.
and stuff. And that's one of the reasons that that guy lost the Sabacc because a wild card was snuck to one of the other players that he lost, which I won. I was the grand champion of Sabacc on our voyage. Got a big medallion for it and everything. It was one of the highlights of the trip.
Yeah,
of your life.
Of my life. I did say
here.
I did say to myself that this was probably the greatest thing I've done alone. It doesn't top, having children or being married, but something that I did alone, like something I went to just for myself.
Yeah.
This was probably the greatest thing I've ever done. It was amazing. I felt like I was in Star Wars. I felt like I was known, like people would call me by name. They'd want to sit and just talk about Star Wars and just have fun and play Sabacc and just hang out. And it was really cool. I really loved it. I wish I could go back. So if somebody has a pile of money.
Yeah, I've got 2 piles of money.
Yeah,
it's just pennies. That's all.
Yeah. Somebody wants, I'll give them a bunch of kyber crystals if you want to take me on your voyage. How many do you want? I got them all. But yes, if for the listeners, if somehow you can go before they close, go. You won't regret it. It's an amazing experience. From the actors to just the crew members were amazing. The crew members I talked to were some of the most loving, fun people I've ever met at Disney. Just try to go. Find strangers if you have to. If you got the money.
Perfect strangers.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that last one on the 29th or whatever, the last day is, man?
It's going to be hard. It's going to be
crazy.
There's going to be tears of flowing. People are going to be happy to be there, but crying with each other. I'm sure that some of the actors and the crew will break down.
That'll be the one that's sold out too,
It's already sold out.
Yeah.
It is already sold out. Yeah.
Yep.
They announced that as soon as they got people to move over, because this was booked out till December.
Oh, I heard somebody say they had it booked for February, and they aren't going to be able to go now because the new dates weren't going to work for them. So.
Yeah. Sad. Yeah, there was one group there was 2 voyages that people bought most of the rooms, and they were going to do a cosplay only voyage where you had to come in cosplay, so you had to get the room through them. That was already planned out in October. They were going to have that voyage, and it was pretty much about sold out, I think. Yeah. So, but they didn't get as much money as they wanted.
Oh, there's always the All-Stars.
The All-Stars. Yes. Oh, hotel.
On that note,
All-Stars.
Probably call it a night.
But I did have fun. Loved it. I was
Excellent.
fortunate enough to go to Disney twice in the month of May because my wife had a work thing, so I got to go back. Flew Spirit, so $20 a ticket. It wasn't too bad to fly down there.
It puttered on.
Let me tell you, on the trip back, I was like, is this plane going to make it back to Houston? Because it was all over the sky, dancing around.
Living with a Landspeeder is not sponsored by Spirit.
No, never will be. And the flight wasn't completely full, and the flight attendant goes to because I was in a row with 3 big dudes. And the flight attendant goes to the guy in the middle. Hey, would you like to move over here to have more room? And he goes, no, I'm good right here. And I'm like, what the heck?
I'm out.
Yeah.
I'll sit on the wing. Okay, it'll be fine.
Like, I'm good.
Safer than in here.
I'm good right here. And the flight attendant was like, what? And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. And I was by the window, so there was no way me climbing over these other 2 dudes. I'm like, well, here we go. Give me one of those slides. Anyways, so yeah.
You had to be in good spirits while you're on there, though, right?
Good. Yeah, I guess.
Hence the name.
Let me tell you that if you've never been to the Spirit side of Orlando Airport,
some characters.
It's like an abandoned mall where you're thinking anytime zombies are coming out of the walls. It looks like an abandoned mall. And you're like, I'm either going to get like attacked by zombies or mugged. I'm not sure. One of the two is going to happen. Because the other side of the random, it's the airport, totally different.
There's
Totally different vibe.
Chick-fil-A. There's McDonald's.
Yeah, this one was just like
Disney stores.
Yeah. So, anyways, all right. So, hopefully next time on Living Landspeeder, we're going to have a very special guest.
Yes.
Hoping it all works out, and it's going to be fun.
Bob Iger.
Bob.
Gosh.
Just kidding. I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
That would
Ryan.
be
Close.
something else. Close, but a lot more friendly. I don't know if we should announce it now, just in case it doesn't happen.
No,
it
we'll wait.
It might not
Oh.
happen. It should.
It should.
Anticipation is everything anyway.
Yeah.
That's right.
So tune in next time for a very special guest that you will probably have seen somewhere before if you're a Disney fan.
It's Chris, isn't it? It's your brother.
No, but we'll get him on someday.
Yes.
Yeah,
He
definitely.
wants to do the Tower of Terror, so we got to make sure we save that for him.
That's
maybe
more like
he
a
can do-
Halloween episode, right?
Maybe.
I was thinking about that the other day. Somebody mentioned that they wanted to come on. They're like, "Oh, I'll do Haunted Mansion." I'm like, I don't know. That's sort of got an October feel to it.
Yeah, we got to wait for those.
Yeah,
But yeah, we need to make sure we at least save it for Chris.
yeah. I do have like a line of people. It's just really cool. Line of people asking to come on the show.
Nice.
So, tell
Make
your
sure they're
friends.
tell your friends, share it on all the socials, like,
Yeah.
subscribe, follow,
Click that bell. Smash it.
hit the bell icon and the thumbs up. We need it. We all have jobs and we don't want them.
I'm gonna try to do it. Set up a TikTok. I just haven't with all my trips, and we'll do Muffin Man videos or whatever on TikTok or something.
Wow.
Do you know? All right, we're done now.
Do you know the Halcyon?
Oh no.
Yes,
Worst
I know the
place.
Halcyon. Sorry. Anyways, all right. This has been Chapter 5 of Living with the Landspeeder. We'll see you next time as we Star Warsify another attraction or show or restaurant. Bye.
Bye.
I was waiting for
Bye.
Catron.
Bye-bye. Awesome.